Hello, how's everybody doing today? Today I am going to discuss an announcement on Immigration Services website concerning green card for employment-based immigrants. That there are an exceptionally high number of employment-based visas available for this fiscal year, and this advisory suggests that all of those applicants who could apply for EB2 or EB1 category should do so, because there's more numbers available. Specifically, if you are eligible, please consider applying in the first or second employment-based preference categories and transfer your underlying basis to them. So what does this mean, and what is this all about? So it means, first of all, there is every year there's only a certain amount of immigrant visas, which become eventually green cards, available for foreign nationals. For employment-based category, there is generally 140,000 immigrant visas per year available. In addition to that, there is the difference of unused immigrant visas from the previous year for family-based category, and there's a lot more of those. There's 226,000 per year. That and this is the difference less the numbers issued in this fiscal year to family-based that go into the pot for the ongoing fiscal year. But it's not like they're issued at one time, and it's not that on the first day of the fiscal year. No, they're issued throughout the year, and there is this whole basically fairly complex formula how the numbers are calculated and then released throughout the year by batches and so on and so forth. Fiscal year, by the way, starts on the first on October 1st of each year. So right now we're in a fiscal year 2022. Fiscal year 2023 will start on October 1st of 2022. So that's a little bit of trick to this. So that's in terms of visa numbers, between sort of the big picture of the visa numbers. So what happened is, because of pandemic in the last 2 years and embassies closure, very many visa numbers were not used stateside, and it means that they are available for this year. It is also extremely important to understand that typically there are some countries that where the waiting time and the amount of those who desire to immigrate to the United States substantially exceed the number of immigrant visas available per fiscal year. If we just take that 140,000 and roughly divide them by 200 countries around the world, would get about 7,000, and whatever the overage from family-based could be added to that and also divided. So for sort of the purpose of my topic today, I'll just stick to 7,000 to simplify things a little bit, but just know that it's a little bit more complicated than that. So the 7,000, basically, just think about it in a year for a country. That's not that much. That's not that many visas available. And what happens, some countries where the demand is large for immigrating to the US, there becomes a waiting line. If there's more applicants than that minimum possible that could be given per country, And so a waiting line appears. And the way to find your spot in that waiting line, which is called priority date, is by filing an either immigrant visa petition or labor certification if it's for employment-based category. So that's the second piece of it. So we get the priority date by filing an application that puts us into waiting line, so that with that date, the government counts, the Department of State recounts how many visas were used up for this month, how many visas they can release for the next month, so that the visa numbers are available throughout the fiscal year. In addition to that, there's 5 employment-based categories. And, well, let me just go over them. It is EB1, which includes priority workers, extraordinary ability, which are extraordinary ability, outstanding researchers, and multinational managers. EB1A, EB1B, and EB1C, or E11, E12, E13, however you want to call them. That all, by the way, ties to the specific section of Immigration and Nationality Act, why they're called that way. So second preference category, EB2, includes advanced degree holders, or at least bachelor's plus 5 years of experience, progressive experience. It includes exceptional ability, and it includes national interest waiver. Third preference category includes professionals, those who have bachelor's degree, those who have 2 years of experience, and all other workers, including skilled workers and unskilled. Fourth preference category, EB4, includes religious workers, and it includes special immigrants. There's a small carve out for people who immigrate through as juveniles, so that's not part of today's topic, though. And the last category, EB5, which is investors' green cards, for those who have invested in the United States and investment resulted in creation of at least 10 jobs. So that's in a nutshell all immigration. And between them, the visas not just flow from family-based to employment, they also flow from one category to another. There is a limit for each, how many can be issued. For example, for EB1, there could be at most 28.6% issued of the whole numbers, plus whatever is unused for EB4 or EB5 and EB5. And that's how we arrive at the number of what the announcement of Immigration Service is talking about. Is that because of embassy closures, not only there is an unusual amount of visa numbers available, exceptionally high, that's how they call it, exceptionally high number, but also those other categories that flow one into another, they are not, they have not been utilized as well. And what the service is telling us is that specifically for these two categories, EB1 and EB2, there's a lot more numbers. So if you can file, if you are eligible to qualify for EB2 or EB3, you should, because you will have better chance of getting, of being able to be issued, to be approved, to get that visa number and get your green card eventually. The big picture of this all, and there's very specific statistics how many are available. And there, for example, for China, there's usually big backlog for EB2 category, but because of this exceptional number of visas, the waiting time for China at the moment is cases are being reviewed that were filed on or before March 1st of 2019. Typically, the waiting line for EB2 category was way more than just a few years. And the visa numbers are not, it doesn't mean that the waiting time is 3 years roughly. By all means, it will depend on how many visas are used in the fiscal year, because the number of applications can fluctuate or petitions can fluctuate. So, and sometimes they are released in big chunks, so there's a leap. It's not like the waiting time goes day by day with an actual calendar year. But roughly, if back in 2019 waiting time was 8 or 9 years, now it's much less. The importance of this is the following: that, and actually I have to mention that a few years ago, even EB1 category for China was oversubscribed, meaning that people even in that category that typically gets the least amount of those to immigrate was oversubscribed. But the big picture of where I'm going with the EB2 and EB1 is that even though if before the only way to get quick way to immigrate to the United States from China was only through EB1, now we should also consider EB2 category, because at the moment the waiting time, it's not that long. Now in the long term, I think it will fill up again, just because once this bubble settles, there may be the demand will get back to sort of normal oversubscribed, or how it was historically for very many years, for the last 20 years and more. But despite that, at the moment it makes sense to consider EB2 category as one of the ways to immigrate to the United States. So that's my opinion on explanation. That's my opinion on what will happen, or prediction with the EB2 category in the long run, and the sort of explanation of how priority dates work. Thank you. Have a nice day.